Hey, everybody, it's Georgia London of Be Boldly Brilliant Breakthroughs. And thank you for joining us today. I have women inspiring women. And today my guest is Ginny Presley Robertson, who has created the most incredible networking group I have ever seen. And it's called On Purpose Woman. And I think for all of us, that's what we need to be, on purpose. So welcome, Ginny.
Thank you, Georgia. Really happy to be here.
Awesome. And so we're going to talk a little bit today about networking and how Ginny got her group started. So I'm going to just let you go ahead, Ginny, and tell us a little bit about who you are and how you got this incredible group started.
Well, I have a background in corporate finance, and I played in that industry, in that world for many years. In 1991, I turned 40, and I threw this big party for myself. I'd gone through a divorce 7 or 8 years earlier, was out on my own, and I just knew there was something more I wanted in my life. And so I threw this big party. The last person went home probably 3 a.m, and I went out on my balcony and I yelled to the universe, I'm making some changes. 1992 is going to be my year. And you know what they say, be clear when you ask for things. And that was in October, the end of October. By December 31st, I had left my corporate job to go work for a seminar company I'd been a client of, had gone through their trainings, loved it, took a huge pay cut to make that shift. And by March of that year, I'd met the most amazing man who is still my husband today. So 92 really was a fabulous year for me.
Wow, that's amazing. That's wonderful. What a beautiful story.
Thank you. Yeah. And a couple of years later, the company left the area. They never quite got a foothold here, the seminar company. And I knew I couldn't go back. I had to do something else. And through a series of really interesting coincidences, I connected with the group who were putting on a huge event in Baltimore called the Whole Life Expo. It was a 3-day event with some of the top speakers in personal empowerment and spirituality. It was at the Baltimore Convention Center. And they hired me for 3 months to help them do this event. And the next year, they gave me the contract for 6 months to actually put the event on. Of course, they're out in California doing their thing. And that second time especially, I met some of the most amazing women. And I had close friends, but I didn't have a community of women. And in the corporate world, we weren't, in my opinion, playing very nice together sometimes. And so I met these amazing women, and I wanted them to meet each other. And I wanted to meet the amazing women they knew. So I threw a party. And it was really before the internet. So I sent out handwritten invitations that said, I know some amazing women. I know you know some amazing women. Bring them and show up Saturday, bring food. And 60 some women showed
my gosh.
For that first event. Unfortunately, I had a big enough space to hold everybody. And it was quite wonderful. I wasn't really sure what was going on. It was just different than anything I had ever experienced. So I thought, well, I'm going to do this again. I'm going to do this every year. I'm going to have this big event for women. And the women, some of them are saying, you can't wait. Something's going on here. Don't wait to do it. Don't wait a year. So I did it every quarter for 4 years. And there were 2 things I noticed in those 4 events, is that women were showing up and connecting in a way I had never experienced. They were connecting from this deeper place, this more authentic place. We weren't trying to upstage each other, weren't trying to outdo each other. There wasn't a lot of bragging, like just empty bragging going on, like, oh, I went here on vacation. There was no cocktail party chatter. And I didn't know what that was. I thought, I don't know what this is, but I like it. The thing that wasn't so wonderful is that at every meeting, I would give women a chance to stand up and say a few words about themselves. And there were so many women who either just couldn't do it, didn't have the confidence to do it, had been beaten down, had been told who they were and believed it, couldn't use what I like to call their big girl voice. And it was just sad to me. It was sad, and it made me a bit angry. And I thought after that 4th event, it was a year later, I thought, what would happen if I took this out of my house, created an organization around it, and gave women a safe place to show up and practice being who they really are? And I had the first meeting of the On Purpose Woman community, which then was called On Purpose Networking for Women, a year to the date that I had done that first event in my home. So it was very organic. I had no business plan. I had no idea I was even going to do it. I didn't know that what we were doing in my family room was the way that women naturally network when we're left to our own devices.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
That is so great. So, it's really interesting that you opened this up to, so Ginny, when I'm talking, you might want to just mute yourself so we don't get the feedback, and then unmute yourself to talk. You have that button on your computer. So, a few things about what you've been saying, Ginny, which is just amazing, that, having it at your house the first time, having 60 some people show up at your house. I'm glad you have a big enough house to hold all those people. And, that they got so much out of it. I think when a group of women get together, it is a little, for networking, that it is a little bit different, and they can really support each other and encourage each other. And I think it was remarkable that you made the decision to continue it, first quarterly and then monthly, so that people did have a chance to really share who they are and get to know each other really well so that they can support each other. That was really remarkable. Do you think starting out in a home environment was one of the gifts of getting the group connected, or do you think that would have happened in any kind of place?
It's a great question. I don't think I've ever been asked that question before or thought much about it. I don't know. I think had it been in a more formal environment, possibly some women who didn't feel like they had anything to offer or didn't feel like they had anything to promote, it would have seemed this was a party. I forgot to tell you, I called it a girlfriend party. So bring your girlfriend. So there was no mention of business. There was no mention of what we would be doing other than bring food, we'll eat and we'll chat and you'll have a chance to introduce yourself. But I think there was that cozy, safe environment so that when I did move it out, women were ready to go into another environment. That's a great question. I don't know what might have happened if I'd started. Of course, when I moved to the Baltimore School of Massage. So we weren't exactly in a hotel. It was still a nice, warm opening experience there.
Awesome.
And Georgia, that when I hit my mute button, it mutes you.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So,
okay, well, we'll just work on the feedback. Okay. That's okay. All right, so we have a lot of questions or comments that I want to just share too before we go on. So we'll start out with Elaine Nieberding. I know I just butchered that, but Elaine is saying, hi, Ginny and Georgia, greeting from Bel Air, Maryland. Well, welcome, Elaine. We're glad to have you here watching live. And Elaine is also saying that Ginny's work has impacted thousands upon thousands of women for their mutual upliftment, support, healing, creativity, and bringing their best gifts of service out into the world. I would copy that testimonial down, Ginny, put it on my website. Thank you, Elaine. That's a beautiful comment. Thank you for putting that up there. And Ginny, I really hope you get that. Oh my gosh, that's beautiful. And it's true. Your work has impacted thousands upon thousands of women for their mutual upfillment, support, healing, creativity, and bringing their best gifts of service into the world. That's just beautifully said. And I think it's so true for you.
And let me just add, I have not seen Elaine for a few years, so she's not a plant.
Well, that's good to know. So, and then Anna Renault says it would have happened, but it would have taken a lot longer. So I think that comment Anna is saying is that if it hadn't been in your house, if it hadn't been, this girlfriend party, if it hadn't started out as a communal kind of comfort company kind of party thing, it may have taken you longer to get the group started. So that's possible, Anna. That's a good observation. And I think that's what we were talking about. We were bringing out in that question I asked was that, would it have been the same if it had been somewhere else? And then, hello, Catherine. Glad to see you here. I'm glad you're here. And she's saying that she heard about Ginny Robertson from a friend who went to one of Ginny's parties. Cool. And Catherine, I think you're in Florida, I think. Is that where you're located? And so that's a long ways away from Maryland, which is where Ginny is. And then Catherine is also saying I've known Ginny since 2001 when I joined the On Purpose Woman community and have been so glad I did. So that's very sweet. It's nice to have all of these folks here for your support. So, so Ginny, tell us a little bit more about what the group does now in the present.
Okay. Well, I started that first meeting, and I like to say that 17 years later, not that much has shifted as far as the intention of the group. I wanted to provide women a safe place to show up and practice being who they really are. And what I mean by that is to be real, to know that they can show up if they're having a bad day, it's okay. If their hair isn't perfect, it's okay. If they have nothing to say, it's okay. It's a place to show up. And I like to say a place to be messy. So women always have an opportunity to introduce themselves. 30 seconds, they get to practice, they get to hone that introduction, which is really important when we're going out there to other groups, that we have that. I don't like to use the word elevator speech because to me that feels kind of cold and practiced. I think we should be practiced with our networking message, but we should be fluid with it. It should come from our heart, not our head. If it's coming from our head and we forget a word or two, we're done. If it's coming from our heart, we can always improvise. So just the essence of who we are gets to show up. The thing that has changed, a number of things have changed. I started out with the one meeting, and it was an evening meeting. And then I ended up probably at one time had 8 to 10 evening meetings. Then I decided to start something called Connections Over Coffee, which was a morning event. And as I started to do those, more and more women stopped going to the evening meetings, because since I do attract mostly women entrepreneurs, not everyone, but the majority of women are either entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs. They would rather come out during the day than to go back out at night. And so I eventually stopped all of the evening meetings, and we now have 8 monthly meetings across Maryland, 1 in Virginia, and looking to expand across the state, across the country, and across the world.
That's wonderful. That's awesome. And I believe that you will. So that's pretty great. I hope people are really getting this, that Ginny has 8 different networking meetings, 8 different networking groups throughout Maryland and 1 in Virginia. And, these people, everyone is meeting in each of these groups monthly. They meet monthly. Yeah. So Ginny, tell me the one thing, that you've got the most that you've gotten out of doing this. This is a huge, entrepreneurial, outcome, right? I mean, to do something this big. So what's the one thing that's the biggest thing that you've gotten out of doing it?
For me, I think it has to be the quality women that I have been honored to connect with. Women who they show up at my meetings, or they move away, yet we're still connected. They may weave in and out, they bring their gifts, then life happens and they go do something else. So there's been this fluid, group of women coming in and out. Some stay, some come back. But just the quality of women wanting to make a difference in the community, women wanting to share their gifts with the world. Because what I forgot to mention is the mission of my entire organization is to connect women around the world to their gifts, their purpose, and each other. Because the greater we connect with our own natural gifts and can express them in the world, the greater impact we will have on the world, but also the happier we'll be, the more fulfilled we'll be. And when we can make money doing that, how cool is that? And so I think the women, and then secondly, is be able to do work I love. I get up every day going, whoopee. I get to go hang out. I get to go to 8 parties a month and meet women online and do all kinds of other cool things.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's just so awesome. And I just want to point out that Anna was saying that, you've expanded, right? You've expanded around the world on the Zoom online events. And that's awesome too. And that's so true. Thank you, Anna, for bringing that to our attention. Because I was on your online meeting on Zoom this week, and it was amazing. There was a woman from, I think, Sweden, Maria from Sweden. And, it just makes it so different to have, the diversity of cultures and countries. And so, yes, Anna, you're absolutely right that Ginny has expanded around the world. It's not just Maryland and Virginia. That's so true. And I just want to just say, Catherine, we saw that you were in Maryland at that time, not Florida. So thank you for helping me with that. And then Elaine says, I think I first met Ginny in 1998, 99 at Baltimore's Whole Life Expo. And she had a Reiki care booth there. And was Ginny assisting with the promo of the event then? Yes. We talked about that a little bit earlier, Elaine.
Those were the 2 years that I actually worked. They were only 2 years they were here. So yes. Wow. I didn't know that, Elaine. That is very cool.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's great. All right. So anything else you want to share with us about On Purpose Woman or about the work that you do? And, tell us a little bit about how people can connect with you. I'm going to put up your website there. And so if you want more information about On Purpose Woman and Ginny, then go to this website right now. Go ahead. I'm going to put it in the comments down below. So you'll be able to click on it and go. That'll happen, once this program is recorded on Facebook Live. Once it goes up there, I'll put the comments in. Give us a couple hours here. But you will be able to contact her that way through a clickable link. And if you have any questions for the viewers who are watching, be sure you put your comments down below. If you have comments on this, if you have questions for Ginny or for myself, and for the people who are watching this as a replay, I always come back every few days and check for questions. So if you have a question for Ginny or myself, be sure to put that in the comments down below, okay? And while you're at it, make sure you like, share this program so other women can find out about On Purpose Woman. So be sure to share it, like it, and sign up. All right. So Ginny, anything else you want to share with us about On Purpose Woman?
Yes, thank you. I think I mentioned that, I was pretty amazed at what was going on in my family room and realized over time that that's what women do. I had been taught to do a very different type of networking, was to show up, business cards in my pocket, their business cards in the left pocket, mine in the right, and you pass out cards to as many people who will take one. And I would go home from these events and feel rather empty. I would look at the cards and think it's challenging to follow up because I don't know who they are. We didn't really have a conversation. I don't think there's anything wrong at all about collecting cards from people. But when you go home and you don't have any sense of who they are, I think it is challenging to follow up. I think women network naturally using our gifts of intuition, our gifts of natural connection. The things that I see that I don't think work are when we talk too much. If I'm networking, I want to know about you. I want to ask you questions. I want to know why you're here. What makes you tick? What are your dreams and goals and aspirations and all of those things? And we'll eventually talk about me if we're supposed to. And so I think that networking doesn't have to be stressful. It should be fun. It should be lucrative. We should make connections. If we make 1 or 2 connections, I don't care how big the event is. If we go to an event with 200 people and we make 1 or 2 connections that we really feel we have something to talk about later, to me, that's a successful event. So I don't think it's a numbers game. And I don't know that people are saying that anymore. That used to be the big thing. It's a numbers game.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you. I think going to any kind of event, no matter what size it is, if you just meet 1 or 2 other people and really make a connection, that will serve you and them, right? To make that create that relationship together and the connection. And I think that's really true. And I think networking is sort of changing in the sense that not only is it, in-person networking, but there's the online networking, like you're starting up with the group, the Facebook group that you have, On Purpose Woman Facebook group that, I think you post in there when you have these online events, monthly online events. So people can find Ginny there also. And the quality of networking is definitely changing. It was pass out as many business cards as you can, greet as many people as you can. And remember, they used to do the old tabletop sort of, 30 seconds with this person, move to the next person, 30 seconds, move to the next person. Like, what kind of quality relationship can you have by giving a business card and talking to someone for 30 seconds? Like, How did that help us? And so I think they're still doing that in some organizations. But I think your approach, Ginny, is one that is just so beautiful and so magical, to really come from the heart, to really spend time with people, to really get to know people, to build that relationship over time and create this supportive, encouraging relationship that will benefit both you and the person that you're in relationship with. So I think that's a great way. So we got a few minutes left here. I just wanted to ask you, have you read any great books lately, fiction or nonfiction? I always ask my guests that.
I so yearn to read more fiction, but no, I haven't read anything fiction lately. But I will say that one of my favorite nonfiction authors, especially in this field of personal empowerment and so forth, is Brene Brown. And she has a new book out, which I haven't gotten to yet, but it's on my list of things over the next couple of weeks. I'm going to start reading her book. But if you have any qualms about being real out there in the world, she's an expert on authenticity and what's that other word? Vulnerability. Mm-hmm. And her TED Talks are amazing. So I would highly recommend her if you want some extra oomph in that.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, if I could add really quick about the Zoom calls.
Oh, sure.
Actually, for a month now. We used to do them for just 3 for just the local dues paying members of the group, but now it's 4 a month for all women across the world. So they can also get information on that when they look on my website and check in, and they can get on the list and actually be notified when those events happen. So we'd love to see them on there.
Okay, great. Thank you for that correction. So everyone, it's once a week, right? And
no, it's 4 times a month. It's always, for example, the same day every month. So sometimes we'll have 2 in 1 week and none.
Got it. Okay, so 4 times a month. And you can find out about that online networking group at jennyrobertson.com. Okay, and again, I'll put a clickable link in the comments below so that you can go straight there and find out lots more about Ginny and lots more about On Purpose Woman and all the different networking groups that she has. So just for a moment, let me step back to Brene Brown. I could never say her first name correctly. I just saw her actually speak at the Philadelphia Conference on Women.
You were there?
Yeah, I was there. Were you there?
No, but Michelle Obama was there, wasn't she?
Oh, it was an incredible program. There were 12,000 people there. And yes, Rhonda Grimes was there. Michelle Obama was there. The two of them, Rhonda Grimes did speak, but Michelle Obama sat down in a chair with Rhonda Grimes in another chair, and they did an interview session, just like what we've been doing, right? Talking about their good friends, and they just talked, and it was just amazing. And Brene Brown, she talked a lot about her new book, and the vulnerability, is awesome. The authenticity she talks about, as you said, both those things. And yes, I totally agree with you. Go, if you haven't seen Brene Brown on YouTube or TED Talks, go see her. I think she's one of the top 5 TED Talks most watched videos. So she's really, really good. So thank you for sharing that with us, Ginny. Any last thoughts? Anything you want to ask me? Anything a question you want me to ask you?
I just want women to just practice being bolder. We all have dreams, we all have goals, and we all want to step out. And until we have the, inner fortitude to do that, we can play small. And just know that, I love this meme that I use on my women's group pages, which is about, behind every successful woman is a bunch of women who have her back.
That's true.
And I think we all can create that community, regardless of what your experience has been with women in the past. I think as women, we are just coming together more, realizing that we are so much more alike as women than we are different by those things that seem to divide us, like age and culture and race and all of those things. That as women, we've still got that one thing going on for us, and that makes us be able to connect, I think, on a deeper level.
Oh, wonderful. So true. So, Ginny, thank you so much for being here today and sharing with us about On Purpose Woman and all the many things that you create and do in this world. And, you're just such an amazing woman. I think people can see from all the comments below, that people love Ginny and love the work that she does. And, again, I just so appreciate having you today. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. I'm glad you asked, and I appreciate it, Georgia.
You're welcome. And for everybody else, be sure that you check in every Friday at noon Eastern time for Women Inspiring Women, where we interview successful business women entrepreneurs like Ginny. So next week, we're going to have Sarah from the UK, who's going to talk about Most Motion, and she has a program called Wiggle Me. And so we'll find out a little bit about her business in the UK. She was a former in our country, we call it a physical therapist. And she was a physical therapist who worked with injuries, athletes who had injuries. And so she's now got an incredible program that she developed to help prevent injuries in triathletes. So if you're into sports, that's the show to watch next Friday at noon Eastern time. All right. So thanks again, Ginny. Bye, everybody. We'll see you next Friday at noon. Bye-bye.